This conference will now be recorded.
So they want you to sign your name. Yeah. Radke. Steve Nelson.
I'll say common Barbara Radke.
I'd like to open the meeting of September 14th. Roll call of the council. Craig.
Here.
Tina. Absent. Nikki. Here. Brandy. Here. Corey.
Here.
All right. We'd all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next on to the approval of the August 10th meeting. The minutes of the August 10th meeting.
And move. Second.
All right. Nikki makes a motion to approve the minutes. Corey seconds it. Any discussion? Seeing no. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think they're incomplete. I don't think it's complete. I don't think it reflects exactly what happens, particularly with the first section with regard to the discussion about the fuel island.
What addition or correction?
Well, after Mr. Greenbaum suggested adding a following condition, so that I think it's the second page. So the commission voted. Following that, then Mr. Greenbaum suggested adding an additional condition so that we could potentially vote again on the same issue. And then following that section, it says public comment none. And I'm sure I heard at least one public comment saying that's wrong. Like, not that you can't do that. That's wrong. But this says there's no public comment. And I think that's incorrect.
That Greenbaum's suggestion was wrong?
No.
No, the public comment.
Where it says no public comment. There was public comment. Public comment that I heard was, no, you can't do that. The second vote, the commission's already voted.
Do we remember who said it?
Mr. Tony did. I'm sure it's in the video.
Go back to that.
Probably even more than once. So in my opinion, following the first vote, the correct response wouldn't have been like, what do we need to do so we can have a second vote? But the correct response would have been, okay, what's next on the agenda?
Well, all we can do is go back to the YouTube video and
So would you, so,
put it on your next agenda.
but there's a motion and a second, so down and then table and readjust? Okay. It's calling the, you feel that there's more than a simple amendment to the minutes, correct?
Yeah, when you say a simple amendment, what a simple
mean,
amendment
add that.
meaning,
Public comment portion.
well, absolutely, for sure. I think
Okay,
that needs to be corrected or updated.
we have that there. All right, so we'll call the vote for the approval of the August 10th. And then go from there. Right.
No.
No,
Yeah, I guess, no, we're just gonna
Okay.
fix it and then vote on it next meeting. Is that the,
Yeah, you would have to move to table it after corrections have been made. You want to do that?
yeah. I move to table the approval of the minutes of the August 10th meeting.
I second it.
Any other discussion? All right. Nikki?
Aye.
All right, we will review the YouTube video and make corrections. All right, public comment on non-agenda items. If you have a comment on any agenda item that is not on here, please come to the microphone and turn it on, say your name and any items you have. Second call?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Brittany, we can hear you.
Okay. I have a public comment on a non-agenda item. Sorry, I didn't unmute myself quick enough. But, I would just ask that microphones be used at all times for anyone speaking, because the latest example of terrible audio, you can't hear many of the conversations that were had during that meeting because maybe mics weren't being used. I'm not really sure, but it's really inconvenient for those that want to go back and listen because they weren't able to attend. So just a suggestion to use the equipment provided, and hopefully that will make it better in the future.
Thank you, Brittany.
John told me that they're directional, so like if it's pointed up, it might not pick it up. I don't know if that would help, but.
Any other public comment on non-agenda items? Lights on.
Michelle Boatwright. My question is, as the road maintenance was done down in town, repairing all the work that they had done, when they replaced the fire hydrant at East Hugel and First Street, they still have not repaired around that fire hydrant. There is a pretty good dip there. They came through and sprinkled some gravel there, but it's becoming quite a dip. And I think with all the VRBOs and that down there, a lot of people are cutting that corner to the point where there's some sort of valve that's coming up above the surface because the mud, the dip keeps getting lower and lower, and just afraid that someone's going to hit that hydrant or damage what they replaced. So if someone could look at it, maybe fill it in with more gravel or do whatever needs to be done to get it back to where it was. So don't want to see someone, I've heard someone hit it and almost flattened their tire. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on non-agenda items? All right. On to the next one. So I have this drafted, but I have not had legal review it. The resolution changed. So the priorities changed on the original water PER. The well was number 1 on the priority list. We had patched the water tank last year. There's a section towards the bottom of the tank with 6 bolts, and we had divers go in and seal that. That seal did not hold, and we had to do it again this year. So Eric very much believes that that storage tank needs to go to priority 1 instead of priority 2. And with the time frame and everything it takes to take the tank, we won't be going through the legislative cycle for that. We will be going through SRLF financing and loan, and then move the well and the hydrants and the distributions that were on the water PER as those for the legislative cycle for grant funds, seeking those. So it's changed, have to have it reviewed with legal, and then it should be ready. So does that sound?
So how, because the holding tank alone was quite a ways out, right? So how long?
Exactly. Because if we waited, we would be, next legislative session is not this March, but the March after. And then the funds aren't released until the fall, so we would be looking at close to, where are we at? 25, 26, probably not even starting project till 27 or 28. So we're trying to move that timeline up by doing the SRLF loan. Because
How long, how soon do you think you'll move it up? How, any idea?
by 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So that's where it's at. We also had Joe Brummel go and look at it, and kind of, we're working on a little bit of a plan in case anything goes wrong with that tank, looking at our options for an interim. It's better to have a backup plan beforehand rather than after something goes horribly wrong. So that's where that one's at. So I swear I will have that ready now that we've changed that. So still tabled for. Okay. All right, next on, oh, sorry, yes. Oh, sorry. Well, I'll,
Tony Treglia. Was the study ever conducted of the leakage of the tank? Because was he going to redo the?
oh, you mean the drawdown test of the
Uh-huh.
whole system?
Yep.
You know, I actually don't know that I'm going to double check with Eric.
Thank you.
Because we did 3 nights, but we wanted to do a whole series. And I don't think we did. But and then it went to the watering months, and you don't want to do it during the watering months. So we'll have to wait until irrigation season is over and then redraw. Eric, or drawdown. Thank you, Tony. All right. On to scheduled matters of a change in landscaping plan for Lot 2 and Lot 3 in the North 40 subdivision. So this was originally a conditional use permit with a T&D agreement, and they would like to change the original landscaping plan. So we have to review it to approve that.
I do have bigger maps, just like I sent you, if you want to look at them.
That would be nice. It's just the landscaping, not the parking or other
No.
access.
What order lots 2 or 3?
What do you mean?
For the condo lot.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
This is the highway. Okay. Yeah.
All right, we'll start with public comment or question. And if you guys need to, we can move the maps if you have anything.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the change is.
That's what we're asking.
Those were both sent.
And what it does to the view of the lots behind it.
Maybe I should explain first.
Yeah, there we go.
Those are mine, but I can certainly make you a copy. That's right. These are old. This is kind of a blown up version of that. It's this. Here it is again. Here's the whole.
Susie, I have a question.
Okay.
So, okay, this one, yeah. So, I'm supposed to see. We can ask.
My aspen trees are
That's height. That
about,
can't be right.
no, it can't. It's probably diameter.
Even that again. You're talking, well, then that doesn't make sense with this guy. The first one says 8 feet.
Oh, yeah.
Can't be diameter, that must be height.
Yeah.
But all the other
Inches
ones
would
are
almost
inch
sound
and a
right.
half, but it doesn't
Well,
specify.
I have this and
Looking at
I
height,
have the aspen.
diameter.
Well, they're gonna grow way.
So,
So this is 8 foot versus inch and a half. But I think inch and a half is about right for the diameter of both of these.
Suggesting that they're relatively mature, probably.
Yeah.
So this is an email I received from Troy Tracy. He wasn't available for tonight, so he's not online either. Attached is our revised landscaping plan for the fourplexes in the North 40 along the highway that include the berm. Just a refresher, we were wanting to add a 6 to 8 foot tall berm on the property to help soften the back area. It will not impede on any state or city property. We will be pulling a bunch of mature trees, bushes, and vegetation along the top to help reduce wind. We will be putting, not pulling, wind and concern of the blowing snow. Keep in mind, the buildings will also be acting as a huge wind barrier, so the issue of drift forming should be minimal. The berm will help provide privacy to the owners along with not making the building look so ridiculous when you drive into town. Please let me know what I can do to help get this approved. Thank you. And so He does have, there is a condition, number 8 on the original permit for landscaping, and I did pull it. It just says that they follow the, I didn't bring it over here with me.
When they say backside, or what, are they talking about the highway side or the Otis?
Highway
Highway
side.
side?
No, it's highway side.
Could you speak from the mic, please, so we're compliant with
Okay.
Sorry.
I was just trying to find the.
Oh, I think it's gonna look any less ridiculous.
Well, it is.
All right, guys. Let's let Susie finish her,
I actually haven't found it yet.
the T&D. It didn't specifically say the landscaping
Yeah,
must
it
be.
just goes to the subsection 11.
Okay.
Is your mic on, Susie? I just can't see it.
Yes.
Thank you.
It just says, landscaping will meet the applicable requirements.
But in essence, they're not reducing the amount of vegetation. Nothing about it changes from 11.3.
I did contact the state and ask them, Eric had some concerns about drifting. So I contacted the state and asked them if that would be something that we should consider, the drifting on the highway. And he said he had no concerns about that. There's he didn't know the actual width of the state right away. But he said it was more than adequate. And the other question Eric had was on drainage, but because of the berms, whether there would be draining down.
I think that would depend on soil type, but that's me. All right, any other questions for Susie that she might be able to answer?
This is all old?
That's old. The colored ones are old.
Okay. So, on the new.
Here, let's trade places.
So on the, Tony Treglia, on the old, the entrance was through Landing Lane into the side entrance into the condos. Under the new, and there was a second pseudo entrance on the south side of the property. Under the new, the entrance all falls onto us. So they're changing the entrance. On the drawings they are.
I didn't look at that and see that on there, but it's not. It has to come on the side streets. It doesn't come on.
Well, I would make sure they update the new ones then, because this shows it coming right off of Otis, and and they're changing the parking on Otis, on their side of Otis, from the left here over to the right side, so that other entrance goes away on these drawings.
Can I talk here or do I?
Yeah,
No, you're gonna have to go over there again.
So can I talk?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still there.
We're gonna do it.
So we didn't discuss there was no discussion on how they're going into it. I will double check with him. So they come off of the side streets because they don't even have an Otis address for any of these. They have, are they, Nikki?
Was this the Lomas thing?
Yeah, Sage and
Loomis.
Loomis, yeah, are their addresses.
All right, well, I just wanted to point that out. That they're
It's a good
changing
question
that.
and I will verify it with him
Okay.
that they're not changing it.
Thanks.
Yep. Are you done with these?
Yes.
Anything else?
Any other public comment, concern? Anything from online? All right, last call, and then I'll let the commissioners kind of go into their discussion. All right, commission.
So can this plan be just updated then with, if there's, I don't know, correct these heights or diameters or whatever they are? If the scale is an inch to 20 feet, then, the crowns or top parts of the trees are at least 20 feet in diameter. So I don't know if that's bigger than an inch and a half trunk, but anyway, just look at that. And I think the parking thing and egress and entrance, and that, if that can be more complete on the drawing.
I think it would be like, it still has to adhere to the original conditional use in T&D. So that was approved with those parking and with those entrances, and those cannot change because that is part of the original T&D. The landscaping portion may, but so that it'd just be, make sure on the clarification that the approval is just for the landscaping portion and nothing of the parking and the may change from the original conditional use. Okay, does that make sense?
Clarify, Craig, your concern is the scale that they got noted was.
Well, if the scale is correct, then the trees in the, I want to say the diameter or the crown or whatever you call it of the trees is to scale. Then eventual scale, because I know they're probably going to start off smaller. Then I'm not sure what all these dimensions over here, other than that very first one, are or referring to.
Mhm.
So I know this is already passed and everything. Is this essentially an HOA? Like, who's going to be responsible for plowing all that?
The North 40 is in that.
So not the town.
Are you approving the new change or do we have to do that? I don't understand.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Are they going to vote on the change to the landscape? Or does it not?
It does. When we talk to Forrest, anything that changes from the original conditional use still has to go before public hearing, like before the public and in a public meeting, because you've changed the original document. That's what Forrest was saying, because there was other projects where people were considering changing the landscaping and just making sure that it still meets all the criteria. That T&D was very not specific, but where it just said must meet the criteria of 11-3-F. This is just making sure that there's not a reduction in the quality of the T&D. That makes sense?
So it won't come back to us before us if we vote yes.
No, it would not.
And who follows up with that? You? Susie?
Yep. With the conditional uses. Yep.
I think it would be nice if in their original print, so this parcel has changed hands, it now belongs to someone else. So those T&D agreements and conditional use agreements all got put in place and then they sold the property to someone else. But they provided, Susie, do you have those drawings that we were looking at? Yeah, they had what they referred to as a front perspective. So you could actually see what it looks like from the highway with how the landscaping's laid out on it. So there again, I've complained about it before when people just give plan view drawings that you're just looking down does not give you a section view.
Yes.
This one, right, Tori?
Yeah, yeah, it's just called the front perspective, and it kind of gives you an idea of,
And this is the highway side,
correct,
so the berm's gonna be here.
yeah. And it's not going
And
to be
it's
a
gonna
continuous
help the
berm.
homeowner's view.
Well, it's got, if you look on the main floor are the garages.
Yeah.
So then up above is the first balcony, so
So how tall are their berms planning on being?
6 to 8 feet. So one would hope that if they're trying to sell them, that they're not going to berm it up to the point where it's going to obstruct
Yeah.
homeowners' viewpoints. But I mean, a drawing like this with the berms in it, I think would be absolutely nice, just so you, I mean, know what you're
Actually.
voting on
Yeah.
and what you're looking at. So, and I think they've got, I don't think they even have, do they even have windows in the place currently?
I think
Okay.
the north does. Do they know?
Okay. I think it'd be, I think,
This only applies to the first three buildings, right?
Only for
All of them.
lot 2 and 3. For,
There's a total of 5 buildings, but they're not, yes, 6, okay. It applies to all.
there's 3 on one lot and 3 on
Three on
another lot.
honestly, if
This is a
it
dumb
doesn't
question.
affect the like the drainage, and I would think that honestly with the soil around here, it should, but I'm not that. I don't know that, you know what I mean?
I didn't understand Eric. Eric had concern with drainage, and I'm pretty sure all of this drainage from asphalt parking lot and what have you is spec'd out like
Mm-hmm.
per DEQ requirement. It has to have X amount of ability to handle runoff. So I don't know that a mound of dirt's going to make a whole
Gonna
lot of
change it?
difference.
I don't know much about it.
Theoretically, one of the big trees, tall trees is gonna be on top of the mound. So that will affect people behind them's view, kind of, right?
Good, yeah.
So I have a dumb question. This might be for you, Susie, because this is like way before I came on board. Are those 5, 6 units, are they just lined up along the highway one after the other? Okay, so there's not like 3 here and then 3 set back. They're all along the highway. Yes. Yeah.
Like, here's the small picture. I think I sent this one to you. But here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. Okay. Just.
Here's
So.
a little bit.
Sure.
I'd have to look at it.
So there's the 3 buildings, but there's like, okay, I understand that. It's not 6 of these buildings. It's these 3 buildings, but they're, okay, I understand. Thank you.
3 right now, but isn't there more to be built?
Yes,
8 units per building.
correct. Right. Understand. My
No stuff like
question
that.
was how many footprints?
What?
are-
Conditional use permits,
No
like,
matter
They
whether
do
they're
it unless in the
individuals or
conditions say it does not flow with
How
the
many separate individuals?
land.
It's 3.
so that's something for us to note that we should probably.
That you can.
They're not all the same builder.
Can you
They're not
repeat
all
that
the same
terminology?
project.
Okay.
I have
I
it
don't
written
want,
down somewhere.
If you go on the Traffic website, which is their marketing, it It's all the same building. It's all the same developer.
Same development.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to, change the whole direction of it. So I'm good.
So there's nothing that I could find in the code that says anything about berm height. Like, there is no set restriction or anything there. It can go either way. I think it would, as that road increases in traffic, it might actually soften the sound for those people there. Like, that's going to be a pretty busy road.
And arguably, it'll make the buildings possibly look a little bit shorter, which is what we want, right?
Would be a plus.
Could be. So are there any other discussion points other than maybe a correction on the scale?
Yeah, I think there is something, unless it's just not clear.
Clarification of the scale.
Well,
And the, right, but then the one above it says 8 feet.
This is the scale.
Yes.
In inches. So just based on that, I see it's probably that tree gets mature. They're all pretty close to, except for this Colorado spruce. Here it says Colorado spruce 8 feet. So I'm assuming that counts as height. But all the other ones.
It honestly
So
makes sense.
I don't know
I think that's
how
the
tall-
original plan. Yeah. I wonder
with
if the
really tall
spruce they
trees and
can't,
lots of small ones, or are they all about the same height?
know the trunk diameter on ordering. Like, I don't know. It's not ordered anything other
It's
than.
typically 1.5
Yeah.
inches is kind of a standard starter
Right, that tree
tree.
cost a million dollars.
So if I'm remembering correctly, when Susie read the email, he mentioned mature trees.
So basically, that guy is our question mark. Well, I think.
Well, this, yeah, this right is wrong, or these right and that one, I don't know. When all is said and done, is all the trees that they're planning to put in there are all gonna be, similar in height or
Okay.
drastically different, when they're. That was it.
Because he wasn't available. Look, did you see that look she gave me? Get over there, Mike. You did.
I'm about ready to leave.
You are.
I can't take minutes if we're not consistent.
Okay. So, because he wasn't available for tonight, he said he had no problems with us tabling it till the next meeting when he could be via GoToMeeting or, so I don't think it's a big rush to make a decision tonight. If you want more information, I could ask him for that 3D, like Corey suggested, of the front of that view and clarification on the tree.
Nikki, do I have this clear that this change has to go back for public review?
No,
Because it does not meet the TMD, it does not have to go back.
it does not.
Okay.
Ask him if he has a view from Otis.
I could, yeah.
And that's actually provided on the original,
Yeah.
on these prints right here.
Yeah, it is.
So
I have a little one over here. Can I go?
Any more discussion, you guys? Would everybody be in favor of tabling it until we get some different views? I don't think it's holding up a whole
Their
lot. So
project at
that's
all.
the very last thing that gets done.
I'm good with that.
So would you like to make a motion?
I move to table change in landscape plan for lot 2 and 3 in the North 40 subdivision until the following concerns are addressed. A front, what's it called?
Rear aerial
Elevation.
inspection.
Oh, yeah. A front and rear perspective of the landscaping.
I second that.
Do you want to address the other concern on?
On scale.
Yes, the scale.
And the scale to be
Clarified.
clarified. Randy?
I second that.
All right. Any other discussion on tabling it to the October meeting with concerns being addressed of a front and rear perspective provided and a clarification on the scale? All right. Randy, I think we're with you.
Aye.
Aye.
Certain more consistent with life, but I'll take it out of your way.
You can have it. It's too big a paper. So.
All right. We can move on to the next item. Colin. So next on the agenda is the North 40 Pollinator Garden Plan. Colin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Colin Threlkeld. I'm the Conservation Programs Manager at the Madison Conservation District here in the Madison Valley. Basically we do anything and everything as it pertains to soil and water health and preserving that soil and water quality here in the Madison Valley. And I don't know how many of you have seen the beautiful rock garden there in the roundabout that's in the entrance to the North 40 subdivision. That was originally planted 2 years ago in spring 2022 by the Conservation District before my tenure. And that was supposed to be a pollinator garden. But for various reasons, the garden was not successful. So what we would like to do is replant that garden, but with some upgrades and improvements to try to ensure a higher likelihood of success. To be honest, it's, not the ideal location that would, ensure, high levels of success. It's a pretty challenged area. It's got a really bad soil type, super windy up there, tons of wildlife pressure, browsing pressure from antelope and deer. And those are the primary reasons that the original planning wasn't successful. I don't think that all those things were considered with the original planning. So we'd like to redo it. But with the plan that I've come up with all of my colleagues at the other partner agencies and organizations, I put together a plan with our conservation district, Gallatin Conservation District, NRCS, and MSU Extension, that we think would have a higher rate of success. And the goals of this would basically be to, for this to be a community garden that people in the community can enjoy and, take pride in the caretaking of the garden. That would be the idea, is to have it there it wouldn't be for the conservation district to take care of, but it would be a community garden that people could go out in their free time, weed and take care of the garden, that sort of thing. As well as improve, create more habitat for pollinator insect species in the area and improve the visual aesthetics of the entrance to North 40, as well as to promote the Madison Conservation District's pollinator program and habitat initiative. We do provide pollinator seed free of charge to the community to help the establishment of more pollinator habitat. And I've been discussing this extensively with Nikki, and me and Eric Olson went out there and met on site, went over the details of what we were planning to ensure that we're going through the proper channels for approval of this, because we don't want the same thing to happen again. And Eric and Nikki sounds like are both on board with it. I've also had a lot of conversations with it with Corey Hardy, who is actually willing to help provide some of that fencing for us, for the exclusionary fencing. So I'll just kind of briefly, I guess, go over what we're planning and what all that would require. And I guess the reason why I'm here tonight is basically all these upgrades is going to require, there's a cost associated with that. So basically we're seeking funding to pay for these upgrades. But we got a lot of donations from various partners as well. So what we want to do is solarize it and then do a fall planting in fall 2024. Tends to have a higher success rate with those perennial seeds, to do a fall planting and let the seeds get scarified over the winter. And then as the snow melts, they've got the moisture they need and ready to go. We tried to do that this year, but we were donated clear plastic. So that had the unintended effect with all the moisture, kind of creating a greenhouse effect. So we're going to have to hold off until fall of next year and try and actually solarize it with black plastic next summer. And that should do the trick. And what that does is that basically cooks the seed bank in the soil. So that'll wipe out all the current weed species that are there and non-native grasses, and create a clean slate for the seed mix that we put down. And so there won't be other species there that can outcompete what we're planting. So we would do that next year, lay down black plastic next spring, solarize it all summer for a fall planting. We want to redo the irrigation and have a nice drip irrigation system to water that pollinator plot, as well as some native shrubs around the perimeter of the plot to create a windbreak to address that issue with the wind. And that'll be a 2-layered windbreak using golden currant on the outside, which is 6 to 8 feet tall, and then silver sagebrush on the inside, which is 3 feet tall. So it'll be catching, you'll have the higher plant up here, creates a gap in the bottom, and then that silver sagebrush on the inside will block the wind at the lower level. And basically for what we would need for that, for 24 foot by 24 foot, that's $967.20 for that windbreak, to redo the irrigation, the estimate that we got, is about $300 for that. And then we're gonna put a wooden exclusionary fence around the windbreak to, keep the deer and antelope out there, because as soon as that stuff starts growing, as you guys know, those deer and antelope are just gonna come in there and eat it up, which would, inhibit the plant's growth, and yeah, they're not going to be very successful. So, in speaking with Corey, he's got some wire fencing that he's willing to donate to us, and Elk Meadows Ranch has some vertical fence posts for us, and it sounds like Eric Olson with Public Works has some rail fencing that he can donate to us. So then we'll do a wooden fence around that windbreak, a wooden rail fence that'll look nice. And then on the inside of that wooden rail fence, we'll put the wire in there with fencing staples so that the antelope can't crawl through the fence and get into the garden. And then we'll put a panel gate on there so that people can get in there and access it and work it. We will also, with the bad soil condition there, we also plan to put some mulch down that the Madison Valley Ranchlands Group is willing to donate to us out of their carcass composting pile that they have, as well as some biochar to promote healthy microbial activity in the soil, and hopefully, get some of those ecosystem functions going back in the soil to improve the soil health there as well, and improve the conditions of it. And that was donated by the Gallatin Conservation District. And then on top of that, we want to throw down some mulch that I think Nikki is willing to donate to us. Yep. And that will just also help again with that wind to hold all that mulch and biochar and seed down until some root structure gets established and the seed doesn't just blow away with the wind. So we got a lot of people donating about half of this stuff, but still the cost estimate that I came up with on still the things that are needed, which is the fencing staples, a panel gate, the irrigation, and then the shrubs, native shrubs for the windbreak, is $1572.17. And that is an estimate. The irrigation could be plus or minus a little bit. Same with the native shrubs, depending on when those get ordered. Those prices vary. The prices I got were from Cashman's. They were the only place I could find that had those two species, and I picked those two because basically I have a limited selection with that soil type out there and what is going to work. And those are two species that will work with that. And they were a little harder to track down. So, we have to order those in advance to ensure they got them. But also, I think that cost could come down a little bit. DNRC has a conservation seedling nursery in Missoula that only grows native shrubs and trees. And those could potentially be a little bit cheaper. But again, just estimate. But roughly looking at $1,572, and that's if all of these donations are sufficient to meet our needs, i.e. if there's enough rail fencing that is donated to build the size fence we need. Same with the wire, and that sort of thing. We definitely will have enough mulch, and compost, and biochar. The only what if would be the fencing rails and that wire fence that could increase the cost. So do you guys have any questions about any of that?
So the 1572 is best case.
Basically, yeah.
Best case in terms of, the least amount of funds needed.
Correct.
Do you have a worst case?
I would say worst case would be 2,500 to 3,000. Would be
About-
worst case.
So maybe about twice as much.
Yeah, cause I haven't, priced any rail fencing yet, cause I'm still waiting to hear back from Eric on how much he has. So I think that would probably be the most expensive component, if there was additional costs. The wire fencing, if what Corey has to donate, if it's not enough, I don't think that stuff is too terribly expensive. Do you remember what yours was?
You do.
So yeah, and that'll be a 28 by 28 foot fence. And really, I think 2,500 to 3,000 is being, safer than sorry. I don't, even if we had to buy additional materials, I don't think it would be that much.
So it's my understanding in the original development of the North 40 that there was a requirement on park space and that there's still, that Josh still has money set aside for the park itself, the park space, because they're not complete. So that would be like, I hadn't thought of that until then. So if I call Josh and see if there's still that portion there, then it actually wouldn't have to come out of the parks budget. Because I don't know what other park portion there is. Susie, what other park portion is there in the North 40? Sorry. Which other one am I missing for park space?
There's quite a few park spaces in the North 40.
And right now we're talking about in the roundabout?
It is, it's right in the center of the roundabout. If you've driven around there and noticed that little rectangle of rocks, and right now there's plastic down right there. That's the spot.
Is there irrigation run to that?
There is currently irrigation, but it needs to be redone. It's literally just one line going across this way and one across this way for a 20 by 20 foot plot. It's not even water in half of it.
Is that a,
But it's stuck in there, you won't have to go into the road to.
No, that it would just be, and the main is right next to it. Me and Eric have discussed all that, and he would be willing to come out there when we do the irrigation to help us install that irrigation and hook into the water line and all of that. So that aspect of it would be easy, I guess, or it's convenient. It's already set up good for installing drip irrigation.
so for a real roundabout, I know those aren't real roundabouts, but doesn't there have to be some kind of something to keep like lights or to keep cars from going over the berm or something? Is that not a thing?
Those ones are already built for, like if you look at the sidewalk portion of it, they've got the dips for it and the markings for pedestrian traffic.
So the green are parks in the North 40.
That's okay.
There's like 7 of these, yeah.
This is the one.
What? What's weird with the soil? It's just my random curiosity.
It's just
Other than it's mostly rocks.
Yeah, it's just a really bad soil type. So NRCS has different soil type ratings, and that one is like the worst category they have. I mean, it's just the rocks and lack of nutrients and the way it drains, that sort of thing. It's just very rocky, arid soil, basically.
It would be awesome.
But yeah, I guess the way I'm planning though is to also make this visually appealing as well with the rail fencing, and the windbreak also chose aesthetically pleasing fences and shrubs and that sort of thing. And everything, again, is also all native.
There are crosswalks right there.
Mhm. So commission, I would ask that like I be able to contact Josh and clarify his remaining park budget for the North 40 and and then approve the project kind of pending.
Because it will come out of Eric's in parks, right?
Yes. Do final budget approval. Based on that, I really think we'll be able to come up with everything. That's mine. But my thoughts. Still a cool project, and then showing off the landscaping that can be that exists here naturally, so that we're not promoting like a giant green lawn space where you just sit out there or don't sit out there because there's nothing else out there. I mean, we could spend eventually, you could spend 4 times that on just putting grass down to make it look nice and not have any benefit to the surrounding environment. So it's kind of a unique opportunity, especially with that amount of groups coming together to collaborate. And then finding out that they have seats. They give away. But now I'm like, I live in the same rocky territory, so no, probably won't grow for me either. But
Go ahead. No, you had your hand up first.
So one of the things you mentioned was that in the initial project, the community didn't get in and support the ongoing maintenance of it. How will we get the community to commit to maintaining this one after investing in it, especially as there's so many renters in the North 40 and not the homeowners, or I would like to see the developers of lot 2 and 3 even take responsibility for it because they're taking away so much other beauty. So, but how are you gonna, I don't know who you is, but how are you gonna get the community to commit like the Jeffers Church does for the Jeffers Garden, right? They're responsible and they get the community involved. How can we get the community involved to own this one?
I think the answer to that is outreach, which we do a ton of. We host a ton of community events and plug, our pollinator initiative at the beginning of those events. And I think with this last one, it just never even got to that point because it didn't establish at all. I mean, nothing came up except they cleared it all out, planted the seed, didn't really do it thoughtfully and think about all these environmental factors and variables. And the only thing that came back in was weeds. So now it's just a patch of invasive weeds, basically. And so if we could get to that point, I think getting those volunteers we could do. We do have a large volunteer basis for the conservation district. With our other programs as it stands now, we have a lot of people that are interested in volunteering with our programs. And as we promote our pollinator program more and more, I think that would help as well. For example, to try to generate more interest and get people planting pollinator habitat and utilizing our free seed program, we're hosting a fall community field tour out at Clark Honey Farms in Sheridan, and we'll be talking about pollinators, pollinator habitat, their operation out there, and they're going to do honey extraction for us. We'll have MSU Extension come out and teach and talk about to all the people who attend how they can establish their own pollinator plots and what those benefits are and that sort of thing. So I think just conducting outreach through those types of events is how we get the basis. But I agree with you. The way I was thinking about it was trying to get that actual North 40 community involved with it. So maybe going door to door with flyers in that community and trying to get buy-in from them to take care of it is the goal. So.
Question, who's Josh? Is he the,
Josh Vievich was the original developer of the North 40 subdivision.
so the like this type of landscaping was a part of that? Was a part of that. Anyway, never mind. Okay, I wasn't
not
sure who, I didn't know who Josh
final
was.
plat. It was not very specific to
Okay.
the requirements of finished product.
Okay. Understand.
So trying to make something out of a rock pile that
It's a big rock pile.
Yeah, and I would also be open to what Nikki and I and Eric and I also discussed, potentially doing these types of projects in other places that would be more suitable. I'm not locked into this specific location that was chosen before my time, but I would like to work with the town on doing more projects like this and partnering with you guys. Yeah.
I wonder if we should try a trial run in a smaller location like the Conley Park. Because that's just a big chunk of grass that's not used. The soil type, I don't know. I know nothing about it. Like, it's still up here. I'm like, it's rock, isn't it? Well,
Pure rock.
you were right there. So that's another one to look at, but it doesn't have as much area.
Currently, the town has, so if you looked at that map, those are the North 40 parks. There's 4 parks in there. There's nothing in there, and there's also nothing really developed that much around in the area. So as far as, it's just brainstorming and coming up with ideas for these areas could potentially be a lot easier than dealing with individuals that live in or around the park. I mean, the previous discussion about Conley Park, there was going to be a splash pad, and we were going to do a lot of upgrades on it, but we're still at a standstill on that one. Nothing's happened there. There was just just a lot of discussion on it. So, but I like the idea of, these areas in,
Might as well put something there.
right. They're kind of, they're not, I'll quote John Bancroft, they're not really parks because most of them are right next to the street. You can't go play frisbee out there because there's cars traveling around. So planting stuff in them is it's space that can be planted completely out, if you will. So I guess this is how I kind of perceive a lot of them.
Well, and if that is considered a park area, it could actually be something that would give people a reason to go into that spot and give them something to do. Because like you said, it's basically just a little roundabout street, so it's not really safe for or big enough for kids to be out there playing in it or anything like that, or big enough to go throw a frisbee around or anything like that. So if there was little community gardens and areas like that, it'd give folks a reason and something to do out there.
I see a lot of people walking their dogs and stuff all through there. If there were trees, benches, someplace people could sit for a while, just, even that.
That's a good idea too.
So we're tabling it until we hear back from Josh.
It's not really a vote thing because it's just not. But I wanted to see if community council was still feeling that this project was like a good direction to go. And then if it is, then I'll contact Josh, see what funding's still in the North 40 subdivision pocket, and then get back with Colin and get some final numbers and see if there's anything that the town does need to contribute as far as budget. But is this still kind of where we want to go out there? I think is everybody's kind of saying it's better than a rock pile, and Colin's got a much better, a more solid plan than the last round. Now that we've learned our lessons on what does and doesn't grow and ups and downs in it.
So what's the alternative? It's just grass or rock?
Grass or rock.
Yeah. But
And
I think,
weeds, yeah.
and weeds, yeah. I
There was a
think-
larger section, I was like, back to the Jeffers, I was like eyeballing it, thinking it would be an amazing community garden, but now that I hear the soil thing, that might be a little bit more of an undertaking than I originally thought, but I thought it would be a cool place to have, you could have your own vegetable garden.
And the cool thing about the biochar is, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's charcoal that is inoculated with like fungus, microbes, all that kind of stuff. So when you put that down, it helps reestablish all those natural processes that do produce topsoil, nutrients, and all that sort of thing. So over time, you could actually end up with some decent soil, at least in that one little patch.
Is that part of your 1572?
Gallatin Conservation District donated enough biochar for us to cover that 20 by 20 plot. So we actually already have that. Yeah. And then throwing that compost down in conjunction with the biochar should kickstart those biological processes.
But theoretically, there's enough in the parks budget to cover that?
The 1572, 19,
Up to 3.
I'd have to go look again, but no, probably not. Parks is as sad as it gets.
Tony has a valid point. Then once it's in there and established, going forward, how does it get taken care of? How's it get maintained?
Well, it's a city park, so we're gonna make sure that happens.
Us, not Eric and Kyle. Us.
And we'll definitely, do our part as far as, helping to generate volunteers. So maybe, hopefully that won't be an issue, but because that's the overall goal of it. It's kind of the idea, like with the Jeffers Community Garden, is that type of structure. Any more questions? I do.
Yeah.
Tea party, garden tea party.
Anyone else?
All right, so is that a good initial plan? See where Josh is at in his funding, and if he's good to cover the whole portion, then just continue on. Is that- All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, you can just let me know and then I can get you the budget.
Perfect.
Thanks, Connor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Last item on scheduled matters. So earlier in the summer, we had lots of calls, comments about any kind of panhandling, some of the panhandling that was going on in town. And so council wanted to address that and So we spoke to the town attorney, Mr. Greenbaum, and had him write proposed ordinance for panhandling and creating that balance of the right for freedom of speech. So can't completely ban it. So we were trying to find the best possible in between to still have some kind of ability to manage. So that's what this is. When I read it, we have a complete ordinance, but the resolution parts, there I didn't see a whereas, and I should have contacted James ahead of time. So I kind of feel like I still need I have the finished product, but not the resolution part that explains the why. Does that make sense? And then wanted you guys to look at it and see if this was, as a legislative body, where you wanted to go with it, if it looked appropriate to what your concerns were. So I would recommend that as a resolution, that we table it for the resolution portion, but definitely review it. And it's on, if you look on town site, the whole ordinance would be there. The resolution is just the whereas, the finding of facts for it are all there, but the initial resolution feels not as clear, and I'd like to wait until it is. But the final product of the end goal is there for anybody to review, and it's a little bit longer, so wanted everybody to get a chance to look at it.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if there's any changes or whatever, funnel them to me and I'll send them to James. And if there's any public comment and any thoughts, concerns on it as a final product. It's easier to fix it before it goes to public hearing than after.
So we should move to table it.
Please.
I move to table resolution 590-2023.
A second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, then I'm gonna call it.
Aye.
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 To the end of the night, library reports.
Karen's not here. Let's see.
Questions, comments? I saw that there was a locate, so did you get with Karen?
Did not. And I didn't call Elizabeth Energy.
I saw them going over it today.
What? Sorry, say that again.
I saw them going over their where that transformer is.
Mm-hmm.
They were looking at that today.
Who's they?
The library.
But not Northwest Energy, just.
No.
Put it on your hand, tattoo it to yourself.
I don't know.
Okay.
Since you called, I got it on there.
And you have John's report. I heard a lot of kids talking this week. So if you remember, the police department received a grant from the Virginia City Elks Lodge. So it's got that was for the drunk driving simulating goggles and map board and cones and everything. And so John went into the high school classes, PE classes last week, and I've heard a lot of kids like, man, I didn't make it. I mean, I was on beer 2 glasses and I couldn't even like stand up straight. So I think it's a very worthwhile program, and they didn't realize how one beer or two beer. The simulation really puts it into a clearer fact. And I know my child was like, man, apparently one beer and I can run over every cone. So thank you to the Elks Lodge. I think it's a really great tool to have in all the high schools. Public Works told Eric to rest up as he continues on. The plan is we should, by middle of next week, be finished with the alley. And then he's off to finishing up the hydrant after the alley's done. And then there's a valve at the lagoon that needs to be addressed. And that is the last of the repairs for this fun-filled season. And then it's just a prepping for our lovely winter months. So that's kind of the end of the plan for this year's. Yes, there's still 2 service lines that need hooked up, and then they're ready to fill. So very close. Any questions? Any other questions I need to direct that way? I think I've got my drawdown test and a definitive on the hydrant. Finishing up. So that's where that's at.
So for August, I did 1 sign permit, 1 deck auxiliary building, 3 fence permits, zone site permit, there were 5. 4 of the 5 in the North 40, 1 being a duplex. And then just getting more stuff sent out for the fuel island. That map is up to date with the permits that have been issued in the North 40. The one that you just folded up on your thing with the blue, all those have something.
That one.
Yes, permitted or built at this point. So I'm working on this spreadsheet. I do have it done up to August, except I'm not Excel proficient, and so it prints on 2-page. When you get to the back side, it's like this, so there's nothing to follow it. So John's gonna help me fix it, so then I'll give it to you.
Perfect. What is on your spreadsheet?
It's just, you can look at it, I mean, it does totals for 2002, and then just for this year, it's per month.
For permits, Susie?
Mm-hmm.
So will this spreadsheet give us like kind of progress of projects is what you're saying, or?
It doesn't, but I have another one. I don't have, I just have the date of issue, and I'm trying to keep track of permits paid. That's a big, what's been paid and what hasn't been paid in. For Eric.
And that should show us clearer trends for where we need to.
Yes, hopefully. And we certainly can add anything to that you'd like, because it's still it's super easy to fix. Actually, John helped me start the initial Excel. We took Excel classes like 1,000,000 years ago, and because we didn't use it, I didn't retain anything. I shouldn't say that out loud, but I did not.
Sure, I think it would be interesting to see like projects that you're, when you have to do the follow-up with the individuals where you're at with that. I think you had mentioned you have maybe the project across the street that.
Yeah, and expiration of the permits or something, that would probably be good. Let's see if I can figure that out and add it in there.
Sure. And maybe people that are in violation of not completing what they're supposed to be done with.
All right, anything else for Susie? Nope, okay. Clerks?
Okay, I didn't get one done either, and really all I have with you guys tonight is getting the regular duties done, and it's been budget. We're close to finalizing. I've got one more set of numbers I'm waiting for, and then I can get those put in, make any changes that need to be made due to those numbers coming in. And I think I have an expenditure budget preliminary out for you guys on their, I put in their budget that you should be able to pull up. It's the expenditure budget. It's not in your town commission. It's its own file. And it says budget 23-24. You guys have that?
Yes,
Yes?
draft expenditure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is that? Sorry. Out of this? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
So I'll try to remember to send out emails since I'm updating that. You guys know it's on there for you to look at. Please don't hesitate to call. Come see me, whatever. I'll meet you evenings, whatever is necessary. If you have questions.
Any new applicants?
One. We got one more application in. He hasn't
Score it.
figured it out yet.
Scoring it.
Or it.
And then go from there. I think that's all the highlights there. And then Ginger will be gone for our next month's October. So is anybody else, this is a good question at this moment, the conference in October, has anybody else signed up? Because it would be during our regular scheduled meeting, so.
Honestly, I haven't even looked into it. Where's the location?
Helena,
On a Thursday?
it is.
It's 10th through the 13th.
Yeah.
Actually, the Wednesday morning
That's correct.
is the start.
So if we want to go, do we just have to let you know and?
I can go in and register you. I put things in your boxes a couple of times from it.
Yep.
But,
I have the postcard, I just haven't looked into it.
yeah,
Is it, do you have to go all 4 days?
It's only 2.
10th through the 4th?
Wednesday, Thursday,
The 13th.
and part of Friday. But I would say, Nikki, and I can pull the agenda and get it to you guys. I just got my agenda
Okay.
from when I registered for it, so I'll get that agenda out to you guys so you can take a look at it. I don't know on payments if they have an option for like a day of it or not.
But yeah, that is over our regular scheduled meeting. And I will be gone the following week. Going to Florida, chaperoning, yay. I don't know how I'll feel about chaperoning 12-year-old children. I may not be singing yay that Thursday night, probably be going, I would have been better to be here, but, so that's the thing I'm trying to figure out, if we have a quorum or if we're attending training and we need to readjust, because we'll have to schedule those other people, that any items that we tabled, plus Emily from Madison County Health has asked to be on the next month's agenda as well. So I need to know if we need to readjust our regular night due to the training and not having a quorum. So look at that and let me know, and so I can adjust as soon as possible. All right, legal, a little bit of both. Susie, want to say, well, not really much. Court, and James can do court, whichever way. Hi, James.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I was about to follow through on what Mayor Nikki was suggesting, that everybody, if you have the time, to head up to Helena and sign up for the Tillotson. I don't know if they're calling it the Tillotson or the Municipal League of Cities and Towns, but whatever they're calling it, I mean, if you have the time, get up there and attend it. It's really very beneficial for everyone to get that, updated information and refreshment on municipal law and the way towns run. There's a lot of people up there that you can tap into and make contacts. So if you ever have any other questions, you can reach out to those folks up there. As far as our local legal situation, everything's running pretty smooth. As far as, criminal prosecutions, you get those updates from the chief of police. John Moore does a great job of summarizing everything that's pending. And as a prosecutor, I'm actually limited very much from commenting on pending cases. So it doesn't really pay for me to even add or elaborate on what is in the criminal court. But we do know that there's quite a few misdemeanor cases, and they run from parking tickets up to theft, all disturbances, disorderly conduct, all those sorts of cases. And obviously with the 2 officers now, it's increased the workload. So again, if you have questions about what's pending in the criminal court, just look at John's summary. As far as civil court goes, we have a dispute that we're pursuing regarding a off-premises sign, and I'll just leave it at that. Again, I don't like to go into a lot of details in these public meetings. If anybody has any particular concerns, you could certainly reach out and contact me. That case actually is scheduled for a summary motion hearing in October. Of course, I feel strongly about our case, but you just never know what judges do, which then segues into the next part of what is going on in our court. Judge Behar, as probably all of you know, is retiring the end of the month. And I've heard rumors of a new judge coming in. I haven't received any official communication from the town as to who that new judge is going to be. And I don't know if that's simply because the judge has not been confirmed by the commission or been appointed. I'm not exactly sure. But when I get that official communication, then that's fine. I'm certain that you're going to make a very good and appropriate determination as to who should preside in our local court. What else can I tell you? The panhandling statute, yes, that was an ordinance that was on your agenda tonight, and I would encourage everyone to read through it so that if you do have any changes, just as Mayor Nikki has suggested, please send those comments to me. And if there's any part of it that you want revised, edited, amended, modified, I'd be happy to look at that and make those changes if they're warranted. And other than that, I don't know what else to tell you guys. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
I have a question. Thank you. This is my first time attending a meeting, and you have named yourself as town attorney, but I don't know who you are. So it would be great as a new attendee to know who your name is and how to contact you if we needed to. Thank you.
Yes, my name is James Greenbaum. There are cards available up at the front desk, and you can reach me through the phone directory if you had questions or concerns about things happening in the town. I'm generally the person of last resort, though, for members of the public to contact because I represent the town of Ennis. I'm happy, though, to discuss any pending questions or concerns. So, usually the best thing to do is to go through whatever department it is that you may have a concern with. And then if they can't answer your question, they would then come to me, and then I would assist them in answering your question. Because I represent the town. And I know it's somewhat sort of confusing because you think the town attorney is there for everybody in the town, but I am. I'm there for everybody in the town in the sense that I represent the town, and the town serves the community. So basically, my function is to make sure that things are done in a proper legal manner, and I'm here basically to serve the commissioners, the mayor, and each of the department heads in a direct manner, and then to, possibly assist members of the public and give them a direction as to where they could go to have their matters resolved. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know who asked that question, though. Was that coming from online or somebody out there in the audience? I'm not really sure.
Any other questions for James? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
I will touch base with you on Monday.
Excellent. Look forward to it.
All right, commission. Who presented you? Do you want to go first tonight?
Who was it? I guess I'd like to speak to the our moving of priorities for our water issues. So we're suggesting that we move the water tower up and get the replacement of that happening here sooner than later. And I'm gonna go back to resort tax again and just as far as paying for stuff like this, I think it would be wise of the town to do an educational campaign of sorts and just push. I guess maybe I'll go back to when we were discussing budget a few meetings ago. I wanted to do like a flyer or a postcard even that just gives people information like towns that they can. We're surrounded by towns with resort tax and how you can set those up, points of contact for all these municipalities. If you have questions or want to know how they've done it and how it's helped their town to be successful ultimately. But yeah, I guess that's yeah, I just get concerned. I'm a successful business owner in town because I've been frugal. I don't just go and take frivolous loans out for things. I'm not saying that's what we're doing with the town, but we have a lot of expenses that I think we're facing in the near future, and I think we need to come up with some alternate ways to pay for this stuff. So that's all I have.
Corey, have you and Karen made any progress in your flyer that you were gonna put together?
No, but I did get Karen's drywall work done.
Excellent. You're on the road.
Too much work right now is my major problem.
Brandy? Or do you want to skip you and go to Craig? All right.
Yeah, I'll go. The only thing I have to report is Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we had an initial planning board just meeting. And the purpose of the meeting was mainly to make sure that all the members had their email addresses set up and working. Everybody got a copy of their, the growth policy and the zone, section 11 of the zoning. Make sure everybody knew who the chairperson was and the secretary was going forward, and to plan to schedule our next meeting. Basically, it was a relatively short meeting. We had 6 of the 7 members in attendance. And so our next meeting is planned for the second Tuesday of October. And initially, until we kind of get our arms and get things moving, our plan is to meet each month on the second Tuesday here at Town Hall at 6:15. I think we understand that we only are really must meet quarterly, at least 4 times a year. But I think to get this growth policy and update going and so on, our plan is to meet at least that once a month on the second Tuesday until we get things underway.
Who is the chairman?
Lyndon.
Lyndon Seed.
Lyndon Seed is the chairman. I'm the secretary.
Thank you again so much for being part of that group and for that already putting in. I think it's amazing. And good things will come of it.
Yeah. Leona is definitely a great resource and asset to have on
all
the
those
planning
different
board.
perspectives,
For
I
sure.
think will
Absolutely.
are incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
And everyone's welcome to attend.
Absolutely.
This meeting open to the public.
Absolutely. So I don't know. I'll have to get with you and
Get
maybe
it all
Ginger and
posted.
yeah, as far as posting it, so
Perfect.
that people can attend.
All right, Nikki or Brandy, whichever one of you is ready. Okay.
I think you probably addressed it, but okay. So for Michelle Boatwright and for Darcy Scrignoli. Oh, she's still here. Okay. Yes, I did go down and look at the fire hydrant that you guys were talking about. I did that before I came to this meeting, and I did see what you guys are talking about. And yeah, I'm sitting there going, I had a very big concern. I'm sitting there going, I would have lost a tire if I had gone through that. I'm sitting there going, so yeah. I did talk to Darcy today, and we did have contact with Eric, and he will be down there in a week and a half to fix it. Yeah, thanks. Oh, wait, no, I have one more. Okay, and I don't know what we knew about this, and I don't know if it was in there, if that's one of those things that didn't get finished with Jan Gennaro's property down on Main Street.
Which one?
The big building. They have tenants in the back, and they are using the library and the pharmacies trash as their personal, rather than taking it to the dump themselves. So I didn't know if we should request that he put a dumpster there.
Will you look at pull that one? Because that should have been, that was a conditional use, wasn't it? Or no?
Yes, I think so.
Will you pull that one? Because I do believe that was a conditional use, and if it was a condition, it's not in the T&D, but is it? No, it's not. I would have thought that trash enclosure would have been required.
Well, whether a trash enclosure is required or not, it's not neighborly to use somebody else's trash.
And I know, and I've been watching Eric and them going, clean out they have to go like every day now to pull the garbage bags.
Yeah, I know it is, but.
And I've been watching them do it every day.
Okay, so we'll check on that one.
Even call the police on that, I would take it seriously.
Well, we can't, because technically it's public.
But sometimes just a neighborly reminder that please don't use my trash.
Yeah.
You can pull it around sometimes. It doesn't have to be a. All right. So a little bit more citizens reports or citizen communications this month in my emails that I've been responding to. I did respond to the one that we received earlier this week as a commission from Mrs. Morgan, and informed her that the Jeffers project is not part of the town jurisdiction at all, so that her concerns as far as dust and everything could not be addressed by the town, and directed her to the county commissioners. Budget and working on the resolutions has been the vast majority of my time. So Colette is willing to be on for the next month's, and then of course we'll have Emily. So there's quite a few people in place. So as soon as you guys know if you are attending, that would be awesome. Great West, sorry. And then Emily from Madison County Public Health as well. So
We're gonna be on what? Just
on the October, so I want to give them plenty of heads up if we change it from a regular Thursday, if too many of you are attending training. And then if you're moving it to the next week, Corey's in charge, so give him plenty of heads up. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. That sounds like it's pretty stacked for next month. We have all these resolutions that are tabled. Other than the wastewater, which we're still no action. All right, on to claims.
I need them.
I'm not signing them.
Questions on claims?
Okay. Do all the claims come out of general fund? They're all departmentalized? Yes.
I'll show you how to read those.
Yeah.
Easily pick them out.
Yeah. Well, shouldn't we typically get like the sheet cross-reference? I know that before.
They're saying you want like a.
Yeah, I just know like when we do it at the library, there's something to check, like where we're at percentage-wise against the budget.
The budget, we haven't adopted budget yet, so I actually don't have a budget. We don't have. a
But
budget
isn't this
yet.
all,
Anyway, I'll go over it with you, so.
Okay.
So I'll know specifics.
And you want a monthly expenditure report with claims.
to show where we're at?
Okay. Once the budget's adopted, then we can do that.
Right, well, I can do like prior.
Yeah, it would be prior month, not including the current claims. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we give you the expenditure report, it would not include these claims because it wouldn't be, because they're not approved. It doesn't count.
Any of that kind of stuff, you guys, if you see it, yeah, come and visit with me and let me know what you want.
Well, we're not open tomorrow, right?
I'm here.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, if somebody wants some time on a Friday, I mean, that is uninterrupted time.
Okay.
Are you supposed to go on the WhatsApp?
No.
What is Overdrive?
That is the library and it's a state program. I asked Karen the same thing. It's actually like where they get their books. So it's a state program, state library program.
And then Willie's had a sewer main break as well.
Yes, the sewer main broke behind Willie's.
Like, just recently?
No,
Yeah.
last month.
Maybe I knew that.
Hey, Nikki. Under unscheduled matters,
Yes.
I would like to revisit the fuel station issue from the last meeting, from August 10th.
All right. I will talk with James and see how that all goes.
Okay.
And if you had concerns, again, Forest is a great resource. So if there's something that is unclear, I know I touched base with them briefly afterwards, and it answered a lot of questions for me. So don't forget to use all of your resources. Fuel Island?
This is from last month. Is that what this is? Sorry.
This,
Well, but this, we didn't, I've already signed these, is why I'm asking from, I signed them at the last meeting.
yes, some of them, but not everybody had, so we
Okay.
were trying to put them, make sure that they were signed.
Craig?
Yeah, I looked at it.
All right, so we're at claims. Is there a motion?
Move to approve claims.
Second, go ahead, second.
All right, discussion. Is there a question, a clarification?
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Just all the Amazon charges are really weird. I have a few that I just don't understand. We pay the city of Billings $350
For their police department?
for training. Just seems like a lot of money. There were a couple other things that jumped out at me.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, that's why I didn't sign. I'm like, I might have to come in and see you tomorrow.
I can't tomorrow. I can't tomorrow. I get my truck tomorrow, so I can't. But maybe Monday I can come in.
Okay.
All right. So any other questions, comments? Okay, we're at the vote then. Corey? Oh, were you last? Okay, so maybe it is. Back to Craig.
Yeah, no, until we get some, I guess, more detail. I think that's what we're asking for,
No,
right?
yeah.
No. Corey?
Yes.
All right. Claims are not approved.
Move to adjourn.
I realize that none of them will be paid.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure they understand what they were saying. Yeah, because I won't be paying any bills, but we might have late fees, et cetera, et cetera. Just, yeah. Just, I'll look at them tomorrow, if any of them really jump out, I'll see if it, yeah. I'll make sure they realize what they just did.
All right. Brandy, move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Nick, you're up. Aye.
Aye.
That's awesome. Thanks for the
now they probably are gonna be put in